rain had stopped just as I carried the last box inside. I remember the silence that followed. Too quiet for a city apartment. No traffic, no footsteps from the hallway. Just the faint hum of old wires in the walls, buzzing like a nervous whisper. The place was older than the pictures in the listing had shown. Walls stained from years of forgotten tenants, floorboards that sighed under each step, as if exhausted from remembering who'd walked there before. As I set my boxes down, something caught the light under the radiator. A dull glint. I crouched and reached beneath it, brushing through years of dust until my fingers touched glass. It was a photo frame, face down, its corners chipped, edges rusted. Someone had left it there. Maybe years ago, I turned it over, and that's when everything changed. It was a photo of this very room. Same wallpaper, same uneven curtain, even the same water stain on the ceiling above the window. But in the picture, the lights were on, warm, golden, and there was a woman standing near the window, her back turned to the camera. Her reflection in the window was faint, but wrong. The reflection's head was tilted the other way, and its face was smiling. I stared so long I didn't realize my own reflection in the glass had started to blur behind hers. The woman looked half-faded, but her reflection seemed alive, vibrant, watching. I placed the photo carefully in a drawer, trying to laugh it off. Maybe an old tenant had left it behind. Maybe it was a trick of the light. But that night, at exactly 12:43 a.m., I woke up gasping. The room was cold, the kind of cold that presses against your skin instead of air. And then, I heard it, a sound so soft it barely existed. A slow, rhythmic inhale, then an exhale, then again. It wasn't coming from the hall, or the vent. It was coming from the drawer, the same drawer where I'd placed the photograph. I got up, heart pounding, and slowly pulled the drawer open. The room smelled faintly of wet dust and something human. The glass of the frame was fogged up from the inside, and in the thin layer of condensation, there was something written. Just one word. Look. I stared at the word until the fog on the glass began to fade. For a second, I thought maybe I de-imagined it, that my tired mind was pulling tricks on me after a long day of unpacking. But the imprint of the letters was still there, faint grooves pressed against the inside of the glass, like someone had written it from the other side. I picked up the frame and tilted it toward the lamplight. The woman's reflection looked sharper now, her outline cleaner, and something about her face. No, it wasn't blurred anymore. She was looking at me, not at the camera, not toward the window. Her eyes, cloudy but focused, were locked directly on mine. I dropped the frame. The glass cracked again, slicing the reflection in two, but her gaze stayed perfectly centered, split, but alive. I spent the rest of that night sitting awake on the couch, lights on, the broken photo lying a few feet away on the floor. At some point, exhaustion must have taken me, because when I woke again, it was morning. The room was bright, normal, but the photograph was back on the wall, hung neatly, perfectly straight, right above the radiator where I'd found it. No nail, no hook, just stuck there, as if the wall wanted it back. The woman's face was gone now, replaced by something faintly visible in her place, a shadow, almost like smoke forming into shape. And when I moved closer, I saw something even worse. In the lower corner of the photo, barely visible through the glass, was a reflection of me, standing where I was wearing the same clothes, except in the photo, My eyes were closed. I stumbled backward, hitting the table. The photo didn't fall. It stayed, glued to the wall like it had grown roots into the paint. And as I stared, a faint ripple passed across the photograph, like breath against glass. I leaned closer without thinking, drawn by some invisible pull. And right before my breath touched the surface, the reflection in the frame opened its eyes. When the reflection's eyes opened, I froze. They weren't just looking at me. They were following me. I took a slow step to the left. In the photo, my reflection hesitated, then followed half a second later, out of sync, like it was deciding how to move. I reached for the photo, but the surface pulsed, a faint vibration, like a heartbeat behind glass. My hand stopped midair. It wasn't fear, it was instinct. Something in me whispered that if I touched it, it would touch back. I backed away. That entire day I tried to convince myself it wasn't real. Maybe sleep deprivation, maybe some kind of trick. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. Every time I walked past the wall, the photo seemed a little clearer. The reflection's posture matched mine more closely. It was learning me. That night, I set up my phone's camera facing the photograph and started recording. I wanted proof, something to watch in the morning. The room was silent except for the ticking of the old wall clock. 2:13 a.m. And then, that sound again. Breathing, slow, wet, from inside the frame. I turned toward it, heart hammering. The reflection smiled. "You're late." I stumbled backward, knocking over the lamp. The bulb shattered, plunging the room into the dim blue light of the street outside. For a few seconds, I saw movement, not inside the photo, but behind it. Something shifting in the wall itself, like a person pressed against the plaster from the other side. When the lights flickered back on, everything was still. The reflection was gone. I exhaled slowly, forcing myself to look closer, and that's when I noticed it. Something new in the photo's corner. The calendar on the wall. It was tomorrow's date. And there, standing behind me in the image, was a faint silhouette. Tall, unmoving, right where the photo had been hanging all along. The moment I saw that date, tomorrow's date, everything inside me went cold. It wasn't possible. The calendar in the photo showed a day that hadn't happened yet. And the shadow behind me, that faint, tall outline, looked realer than anything else in the image. I didn't sleep. Couldn't. Every creak in the apartment sounded like someone moving inside the walls. Every flicker of the bulb felt like a breath. By morning, I'd made up my mind. I had to take the frame down. I had to see what was behind it. I approached it slowly, screwdriver trembling in my hand. The glass shimmered faintly, fogging and clearing in slow pulses. Inhaling. Every few seconds, the photo would flicker between two versions. The empty room and the room with me inside it. Finally, I wedged the screwdriver beneath the edge and pried. The frame didn't move. It felt fused to the wall. I pulled harder, and suddenly the bottom edge snapped free, releasing a deep, wet hiss. A gush of cold air rushed out, stale, damp, and human. And behind the photo was darkness. A cavity inside the wall. No wires, no insulation. Just a narrow, hollow space, barely wide enough for a body. I leaned closer, phone flashlight trembling. At first, I saw nothing, just dust, mold, and faint fingerprints on the inner plaster. But then, something moved. Not fast, not violent, just shifted, like someone adjusting themselves after a long sleep. and in the dust, I saw it. A handprint. Fresh. My phone flickered. The screen glitched, freezing mid-frame. And when it cleared, I wasn't seeing the wall anymore. I was seeing the photo again. Except this time, the reflection wasn't standing behind me. It was standing next to me. Its face perfectly clear now. My own face, smiling gently as if waiting for me to notice. Then the whisper came, so close to my ear that I felt the moisture of it. It's your turn now. I dropped the flashlight. The beam rolled, spilling light into the hollow space behind the wall. And there, half buried in the dust, was another photograph. Framed, cracked, still breathing. Only this one showed a different room, a new apartment, empty, waiting. The building had been empty for months. After the police sealed it off, no one wanted to live there. They said the man in apartment 3B disappeared one night. No forced entry, no signs of struggle, just gone. When the new tenant arrived, the landlord barely said a word. He handed her the keys, muttered something about renovations delayed, and left before sunset. The woman's name was Sarah. She was quiet, polite, the kind of person who didn't believe in ghost stories. The apartment seemed fine to her. Cleaned, repainted, a faint smell of new paint mixing with the old scent of rain that never truly left the walls. That evening, as she unpacked, she noticed a loose floorboard near the radiator. When she pried it open, she found something inside. A photo frame. It was covered in a thin film of dust, its glass cracked through the middle. She wiped it with her sleeve and froze. It was a picture of this room. Same curtains, same light, same corner of the wall where she now stood. And in the center of the photo was a man. His face was pale, eyes half closed, a faint smile frozen beneath the glass. The same man the police had said disappeared. Sarah's breath fogged the photo as she stared, and slowly, from inside the frame, the condensation began to shift. Letters formed on the inside of the glass, written backward, but still readable from her side. Don't move. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She looked up, and in the reflection of the glass, she saw the back of her own head. But she hadn't turned around. Something else was standing behind her, close enough that she could see its breath too, fogging the same glass from within. Then the man in the photograph, the one with her reflection in his eyes, exhaled. The sound came from inside the frame. Sarah dropped the photo. It hit the floor face down, but the breathing didn't stop. It grew deeper, faster, like whoever was inside the picture had just woken up. And as the rain began outside, a small crack spread across the glass, splitting the photo in two. One side showed the man, the other showed Sarah. Her eyes were closed. Her reflections weren't. The apartment waits again, and somewhere beneath the rain, the photograph keeps breathing.